good morning, and good morning to you also. Well, we have a quite, inspirational panel I hope we will have. And as guests we have Ayse and Ece from DJ Kayak, as you all know very well. Then we have the world famous Warıs with us. So we're going to be discussing the importance of artisanal and especially the heritage, how to translate heritage and artisanal and how to use it in today's world and fashion world. So Warıs, lately you've been creating, I don't know how to, put a title on you, which is not very easy. You are a Renaissance man, so you are an actor, a designer, and many other things all in one. And,
troublemaker.
Well, I hope not, during the panel. So, and you finally had, all this creativity materialized lately in Venice, in Gritti Palace, in the legendary Gritti Palace. You had a place, I don't know how to name it also, it's sort of a curated area where you curated all these artisans from all around the world and you named it Rare. So, what's the concept behind that?
Good morning or afternoon. The concept behind Rare is one of my favorite hotels and one of my favorite cities happens to be Venice. And it's a glorious city, and in this glorious city is a glorious historical building, which is a hotel named the Gritti Palace. It's a storied place, and I imagined and thought back to Venice as the city of trade routes and the historic city of the exchange of culture and dialogue and hope and loss. And so thinking about besides the acting, I've had a jewelry line for about 10 years and I work with craftsmen. So I thought that there's a beautiful opportunity here to work with other craftsmen. So I took this space in the Gritti and commissioned about 40 artisans and brands and craftsmen from around the world to make things for us, for the Gritti and for Venice, for House of Warıs Rare.
Perfect then.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a look to our video about Rare in Venice?
Mm. Do we need to duck?
Or you see, maybe.
Nel 55. Per decisione di mio padre, nel 72 l'azienda inizierà ad occuparsi solo di articoli di illuminazione. L'idea che abbiamo portato avanti è quella di seguire la qualità e la personalizzazione. Ci sentiamo molto onorati di avere partecipato in questo grande restauro del Gritti Palace, più di 2200 articoli che abbiamo smontato, pulito, rimontato, aggiungendo le parti mancanti. È stata una bella avventura.
Io a Venezia Venezia sono nato e ho cominciato a fare questo mestiere nel 69 e il lavoro nostro, perché adesso sto lavorando anche con mio figlio, è quello di fare dorature, lacche, decorazioni e restauri delle stesse. Da 10 anni a questa parte abbiamo intrapreso un certo lavoro sul vetro, disegnare o incidere su lastre di vetro e poi argentiamo, doriamo a foglia e creiamo forme antropomorfe o zoomorfe. Per il signor Warıs ho creato 3 animali in particolare, scelti da lui.
So, what was the idea? What made you curate all these pieces? What was your inspiration? Or did you have a sort of an idea, a hidden agenda of gathering things related to artisanal, lost artisanas, or what was your criteria?
You mentioned a hidden agenda. There was a hidden agenda, and that was the idea why I celebrate craft, or why I talk about craft, or work with craftsmen. It's almost less to do with the object. We made glasses in Murano, and the glasses are great. They're handmade. This is not one of the glasses, but the glasses are fantastic, and they're hand blown and they're hand engraved. But what's even better is the exchange I have with the glassmaker. Mm-hmm. Right? It's the chance to work with someone and to create with someone with something. It's that connectivity, that humanity. So when I talk about craftsmanship and with artisans around the world, it's the idea of humanity.
Of course, it's a way to translate, to bring all these, artisana, which is about to die, in a way, give them a new function, and to bring them to today's life,
and to give us a sense of responsibility. The idea that craft can be a part of, it doesn't have to be things that are antiques or old, yes, but it can be, and so that's where the design comes in. The design is modern, is contemporary, but the concept is this idea of thoughtful living.
Yes,
right? Because if you're thinking about where your glass comes from, if you're thinking about where the things in your house come from, your glass, your rugs, your furniture, you're thinking, right? It's a thoughtful life, and if you're thinking about that, then you must be thinking about other things, and that's what it comes down to. The attempt to work with craftsmen is just to put into place a method of living.
Right.
It's about,
of course,
and that idea of living, and I try to live that the whole way through, with not just with the craft or the people that I work with. Like everything that's on my body right now, I know who made for me. Like the suit, the shoes, everything. And so it's this idea of connectivity, this idea that there was a time when you knew your butcher, your baker, your
of course, your tailor,
your milkmaiden.
Everybody. And now, yes, it's more anonymous.
And now it's much more anonymous.
Yes. And DJ Kayak, we are very proud of DJ Kayak, and which sort of was very much inspired by Istanbul and the Ottoman architecture and all other places, part of our culture, which in a way brought you the famous, well-known Jamil Prize, and you've been awarded, and you got this impressive prize in Victoria and Albert Museum. Perhaps we can see the book, which sort of gives an idea how you were inspired with Istanbul, with Bursa, and what was your inspiration and the artisana which brought you here?
Well, it's I don't see
okay.
The images.
Of course.
A bit to show where the inspiration comes. So it's this is about Istanbul Contrast is a collection of like 21 pieces of dresses, which are inspired very much from our culture, architectural and aesthetic heritage from Ottoman Empire, especially, but also, as you say, from Bursa, because it makes sense, and using all these materials and craftsmanship, you know, to create a modern and contemporary garments.
Perfect.
So each garment represents, you know.
Well, the influence, for example, some of the dresses you made are inspired by the domes of some mosques, and some others by our famous church, Hagia Sophia. And also, well, there's something very interesting about you. Well,
Yeah,
yes,
this is
Hagia
like-
Sophia here.
This is all,
this
this is our hand embroidered with blown glass beads. Like there are 6,620 precisely beads,
Yes.
antique beads,
Antique beads.
yeah, to create this one.
And also what interests me a lot, because you are originally from Bursa, which is our ex-imperial capital, which was sort of a place where the artisanal was very important. And as I know, well, that your father was a great collector of antiques, and especially antique jewelry. And how did it influence you, well, to be in touch with all these old pieces, antique jewelry? Did you have a chance to bring them into your work?
Definitely, I think
Uh-huh.
it has a great influence, that childhood background,
Mhm.
the city itself, all the traditions and the handmade stuff that we had. I mean, everybody had this at home, you know.
Yes.
And so it has a
And Bursa
big
was the
impact.
place of textiles since the history, since
The
even
silk.
16th century, where you had the silk, you have the velvets, which were so well known that even the French used to call some type of fabrics brousse after the name of the Bursa. So it was so iconic in a way in modern terms. And now, well, your idea of, let's say, artisanal now will bring you to, again, to a very important show in Paris. You're invited to Couture Week. So couture means artisanal. So what do you think, Warıs? You are a contemporary dandy with an incredible, how can I say, Indian twist. I think that you as a person, you are a perfect example of, as a person, to how to, well, bring this heritage or culture into today's living person. For example, even your turban is a wonderful example how one can bring it to today's life. So, and how about you? What did, well, in the couture, for example, what kind of techniques, or in the couture week you're planning to use? What will be your sources of inspiration?
But first of all, it's very strict. You know, you
Yes.
have to have everything handmade, or you know, you have to have this artisanal. It is artisanal in the modern
Yes.
way, but your
Mhm.
atelier, you have to do everything by hand. So it's like we have like extra people working, and even there are no places people are working on the you know, like ground.
And
Uh-huh.
like in Istanbul Contrast Collection, everything is, you know, every dress, so not everything, every dress is under construction, and then they're always layered with fabrics and then laces and hand embroideries. Very exclusive dresses is going to be. It's not targeted to be produced, so it gives us a great freedom and comfort to be more creative, and no worries about the after production and deliveries.
Yes.
So it's a period of
Being completely creative,
glamour and
without the worry-
creativity, and then, you know,
without the,
I
the
love doing
commercial
that.
worries.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful.
Without boundaries. It's nice.
That's
It's a lots of work, but it gives us that's great pleasure.
of course.
And that way of working, you know, the dresses or
Mhm.
whatever you're doing, you're creating, even the glasses and the boxes, and then when it's unique, and then it's precisely done with your emotions and with your love for arts, and you know, it really has that light. I mean, this energy, and it's more appreciated. You know, everything should be unique and exclusive. It's a great luxury, but you know.
Well, I think that this is
I
what
think it's very
luxury is
important.
going to. Everything will be more, I mean, nowadays, well, the more niche you become, more valuable it will become. So, also rare is a good example, even the name of it. Exactly.
So, I mean, it's like last month we were invited to
Your beautiful
your
house.
beautiful house And we had this exclusively interesting for me dinner, because I mean we are losing this kind of things. Unfortunately, and we were served in a way that it amazed me, because you used all this Ottoman Empire, you know, things like turtles, for instance.
Yes.
Yeah, where does your turtle passion and love coming from?
Yeah, we
My
were
turtle
amazed.
mania.
You know,
I'm a turtle maniac, I'll confess. So, well, the thing is...
Please show.
Yes, these are my cufflinks that I was ordered by Ece to wear today for you all.
It's ruby and then...
So you see them. So I'm very much, you know, well, hopefully, I hope you know that I'm an Ottoman art historian, and I'm always, you know, interested in bringing alive all these lost traditions. And it can be kind of, you know, in many ways. It can be like receiving a guest, or designing, or speaking, and etc. And that, well, I've been designing for years things with the Ottoman art inspiration, but at last I decided to do something for myself, and I decided that I want to use the turtles. And the idea of turtles, you know, when I was a little boy, well, being that interested in history, we have a period in our history that we call the Tulip era. And in the Tulip era was a very flamboyant era of the Ottoman Empire, and they used to have huge tulip gardens, and the sultans at night, they used to put the real turtles in the garden with candles on top. In the darkness, the turtles would move around to create that flimsy light. So, well, I always used to love that idea, and for each decoration or restoration project that I did in my life, I was secretly dropping a turtle candle in each house that I was doing, sort of like a hidden thing. Then afterwards, people started to be interested in these, so I started to make a line on turtles. I believe in the luck of the turtles.
Also.
And also, well, as you know, we have the turtle tamers in the Ottoman world, because you had to be very patient. It was a sign of being patient. You had to tame the turtles for them to walk nicely in the garden. So, well, Ottoman art, of course, is a very big source of inspiration, and this is what I'm trying to translate into today's life, because that's the thing. This is the problem about all these, I think, artisanal and heritage things. You have to find a way to translate it in such a way that it doesn't become ethnic. So what do you think about this? Because folkloric. Because sometimes when you talk too much about the heritage and the artisanal, this is very much on the edge, I find. Some designers, unfortunately, they fall into the trap of being too folkloric. And this is not what we want, and this is not what we are discussing. So what do you think about that?
Well, the idea of heritage and of craftsmanship and artisanship, it reflects the past, but as you said, it has to continue into the future. And the very word tradition means taking something, stories, lessons learned, and moving it into the future. So so it's not nostalgia. So you that's just an understanding. You have to move away from the past, and that's just the past is just a guideline. It's a reminder of a value system, perhaps, but it's not a reflection of execution. Execution needs to be contemporary and relevant to the world today.
Today's life.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
exactly.
You think the same
I mean,
too?
I think the old craftsmanship and then, you know, all this artisanal work is a heritage, but genetic heritage. I think you're born in this world, and then you see them, and then you grow up, and then so the thing is today to be a contemporary designer, artist, whatever, is taking these elements from your background and creating new forms adapted to 2014's needs and then visions, and this is the transformation of past into, I even wouldn't say future, because we don't know, but today. So the utility, the design, the vision, and the looks, and the colors, and the feeling when you touch something should be today's thing.
exactly.
So this is what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
This is
some of the turtles and
Turtle,
some of
yeah,
the
this is
China
what is
Serdar's
Yeah.
dining table, beautiful.
Yes.
So elegant.
Amazing dinner.
Thank you, thank you. So we were discussing also yesterday about the craftsmanship in the Grand Bazaar, because, well, there's this book that we were discussing, the Grand Bazaar book that I wrote. Then you were asking me about the artisanat in the Grand Bazaar, and people, I mean, this is something which makes me very, not sad, but a bit angry. People will say that the artisanat is disappearing, but I believe, this is what we were discussing, I believe that each individual is responsible for that. You know, if you don't, as any choice that we make, even, you know, the shoe we buy, the napkin we use, or whatever we do, we carry a kind of a responsibility for the heritage and artisanat, I believe, in the choices we make. Because people, they never go and make use of this artisanat, and all this artisanat is disappearing. Then they come up one day, all these people, they say, oh, artisanat is lost. All because all those people who are not using artisanat in their work, or as a normal individual also, are not using this in their daily life. So what do you think of it? So is there a way to use artisanat, to find a way to use artisanat in the daily life? Because to make it alive in a way, not let it die. So.
Well, I've said this before, it doesn't have to die, and I think we're in an amazing period where there's a resurgence of interest in craft and artisanal, from food to clothing to objects. I mean, from Portland, coffee and chocolates. In New York, you can get 10 kinds of handmade chocolates. You know, so there's a resurgence, and the idea that artisanal and craft, and it doesn't necessarily need to mean exclusivity or luxury when it becomes an economy of scale. When if there's one chocolatier making a chocolate bar that's handmade, of course it's going to be $20 or $30. When there's 10, the prices are going to come down. Right. And so that's how an economy grows. That does, because there is a resurgence and there is an interest in things made by hand, because it's like a pendulum. It swings, it keeps swinging back, and now that people are maybe tired of not being connected.
And not being connected, and also I believe that people nowadays, it's not easy. I mean, people are not, well, we don't see so much opinionated people, I see nowadays. And people, when they are not opinionated, they don't have very strong ideas, because this age, I believe too much communication. This is my personal idea, but when you communicate too much, then you cannot grow your separate ideas. Then you are always corrected by the society in the meantime. So it's quite very important to sort of to step.
It will never die.
Yes, it will
never die.
It will never
really,
die,
because there are, when people are getting into this anarchy of brands, and then you know, too much produced, how do you say it, garments, chocolates, whatever.
Everything.
But there is that niche still, hopefully, and growing.
And it's a new luxury.
Yeah,
Yes,
people are looking for
the new
exclusive
definition
designs,
of luxury.
very high quality, handmade stuff. Believe me,
Yes,
thank God.
definitely.
So I think it's
which
balanced.
gives hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I mean,
gives
it's
hope.
more and more. We're seeing our buyers more and more asking for that kind of. They want to feel exclusive. When you
And
owe
different.
something, yeah, as you say, when you want to purchase something like this, you want to know the history of it. I mean, you want to
Of
know
course,
how much time somebody spent. I mean,
Of course, you don't only buy that piece, you
yeah, of
buy
course,
the
I mean,
history
this is
behind
getting
it.
more and more.
You
We're
buy
getting
the
more and more
history
in this.
behind that. So
Yeah, so when we're talking about our garments, we have to say how the inspiration came from, what kind of technique of you know, the old Ottoman Empire techniques, you know, the materials. For instance, there were handloom, lots of handloom fabrics, which is not used now. We restarted using this kind of thing, so it's
Because
but
there is a
and
demand.
embroidery,
Of
That's
course,
the
there is a demand.
idea.
There is
yeah,
a
that's
demand.
Hopefully.
embroidery
Of-
that we always have in the collections, and it's really something that's important.
yes, you're right.
Don't worry.
Yes. And Warıs, yesterday we
Eat
were talking about sort of this artisanal or heritage as a lifestyle, because it cannot only be, well, the final product, as we said. There's a big story behind. This is the little part of the iceberg that we see when we see a product, you know, become materialized, but there must be a big lifestyle belief in it and a complete discipline behind that. So what do you think about this to produce all that?
Well, it's the whole reason behind craftsmanship, because otherwise you're just talking about objects, and how long can you look at an object or think about it? You know, it's the object again. It's just a bridge to humanity. I say that craftsmanship is the last bastion of hope for humanity. That it's the you know, craftsmanship is about things made by hand. If we lose the ability to make things by hand and use our hands, you know, we've lost our humanity. And so this is just a discourse in that connectivity, that idea of connecting to someone in. When people connect through different cultures, there's this hope that there's less war, that there's you know, more communication between cultures, you know, that there's the hope that we'll learn from each other. You know, Peter Beard said yesterday that, you know, we never learn, and that's why I find, you know, I say that, you know, my inspiration is always love and history, and I'm fascinated how we can never ever learn, century by century by century. We have the ability to learn, and we learn very slowly, but this idea that you know, of humanity, of being connected to the other person, that we're all really the same, that there is no difference between us, and so that's the hope of bringing people together through, instead of standing there on a soapbox going, we're all the same, we're connected, bringing people through commerce, through capitalism. Everyone loves shopping, right? Everyone loves buying things. Everyone loves. So if you can put it under that guise, you know, like the hidden agenda, if you can, you know, put it under that umbrella, then there is a hope. There's a hope for humanity. There's a hope for elephants. There's a hope for everything. Then.
Of course. So talking about the luxury and design, you were saying that, you know, well, you believe that design is becoming very democratic nowadays.
Yes.
So, do you mind explaining a bit?
Because Serdar was yesterday, you know, artisan is getting lost, and then no one is, you know, doing these handmade things anymore because it's commercially not very, how do you say it? Prosper.
And Ece was correcting me, so yeah, I want to be publicly corrected.
I don't agree, because of course there is a democratization of fashion. Let's talk about our field. And so with the you know, with the arrival of these huge companies, like starting from 60s until today, so you know, the pyramid, and it's the base of the pyramid. So everybody, every single person in the world could get dressed, fashionable, okay? But with a lower quality or whatever. But everybody today, you look, even in the streets, people are well dressed.
Very
I mean, they have a nice skirt or pants and a skirt. But then the top of the pyramid also, it exists, and then so to be dressed exclusively well, beautiful, in a high quality, that is the niche market. That we call it luxury, but without being overpriced. That I don't really believe. You know, you can have huge prices. I say it in Turkish, sempatik price, and have something beautiful, something exclusive, something done with love and intention. It's not difficult, believe me. So there is a niche sector getting developed in this way, also, but. Of course, to reach them, you have to be. I mean,
to have some means.
Some you know, revenue. Okay, but it's a good field getting developed. I believe in it. So everybody is fashionable, but you have some, you know, some how do you say, level that they have more exclusive
more
things.
People are looking for this, as you said, like craftsmanship and this really artisanal. So we want to keep the artisanal. Like it's a shame in our city, Bursa, it was very famous for the embroidery.
Yes.
We don't have it anymore. Nobody wants to do it. So we have to move it to
India.
To India. I mean.
Which created another sector, and then they're having an excellent job, and then they're earning lots of money. So why not? I mean, it's moving. It's globalization of even for the industry. I'm not against it.
Yes. But on the other hand, I believe that globalization kind of creates a bit of a boring world. Because every city looks the same. In each place you...
Special architecture.
Well, the food is the same, the language is the same, the currency is a bit the same. So it's becoming a bit of a... this is the, I don't know, the negative side, I think, of the globalization, in a way. What do you think of it?
Well, I think each person has that responsibility of whether following globalization or not. More than, you know, of course, voting is an important thing. But every time you go out into a store, or into the market, you're voting. When you take your lira, when you take your euro, your yen, your dollar, you're voting. And if you're buying into a system of, let's say, one of these mass brands, you know, one of these mass brands that are lower priced, you're in a sense almost supporting a very old way of being. You're almost supporting a feudal system when that money goes straight to the shareholders. It doesn't go to the workers. It doesn't create a better quality of life. It doesn't improve the world. It doesn't do anything. You're supporting a very, you know, the money goes straight to the top of that pyramid, and it doesn't trickle down. When you've got the factories in China that are sweatshops, you know, the factories in Bangladesh that are, you know, that are burning down because there's no health conditions. So you can wear a $5 T-shirt. No, buy a T-shirt from someone local, someone or someone that's making it, someone that's taking care of their workers. That's the responsibility, you know. And so globalization will happen. People will always try to make the most money they can without caring for people. That will never change. You know, everyone says the world is falling apart. The world has always been falling apart. You know, I don't think there was ever like a time of great, you know. When was it the 100 years of peace? When did we have that? We never. You know, the world has always been falling apart, and it's up to us, not just, you know, not just democratically in a government way, but in this idea of capitalism, that each one of us votes with that with
your daily choices. Yeah,
of course. Whether you support a local farm, or you buy your lettuce and your cauliflower and from a local farmer in, you know, and I say as in like upstate New York, then you're supporting a way of life, and improving this way of life for a larger group of people.
Yes, I completely agree. So talking about the artisanal, I would like to hear which artists or you think are using artisanal well in the world. Do you have
lately we met some.
ones?
Yeah, we lately met because I mean this was very fortunate because we didn't know them. Jamil Price shortlisted artists which are using the craftsmanship, you know, using their traditional local art to create.
Promoting your competitors.
Exactly, it was amazing. There is one from Azerbaijan which is
Faik
Ahmed using the traditional carpets. To create
as his art, and then you know he starts, you know, weaving it very traditional, and then it changed. It becomes pixels, and then it's fantastic.
Extremely fantastic to see. It's beautiful.
It's a piece of art, and it's very. I mean, you can really use it, you know, on the floor or on the wall.
Well,
I mean, that's a very, you know, it's a twist with the contemporary.
Good translations.
Very
exactly.
Good. You know.
Very good translations into today's language. So, well, we are almost about to finish. So, do we have some questions? I don't know if we have some questions, or we have a satisfied audience. No questions.
Good.
Good, very good. So it means that it was a satisfactory panel. So, well, I would like to thank you all for participating, and good luck in your inspirational journey. Oh, excuse me. Yes, please.
Çok aydınlandım. Çok teşekkür ederim. Ben de felsefe öğretmeniyim.
Teşekkür ederiz.
Küreselleşme ve acaba sanat açısından, sanatı yok mu ediyor yoksa sanat anlamında destekleyici olabiliyor mu? Çok merak ediyorum bunu. Küreselleşmenin sanata olumlu veya olumsuz bir etkisi var mı? Teşekkürler.
So we had a question from the audience. Agree. Well, that globalization would be good for the art or not. I mean, would this make the art more creative or kill it or how? What would be the influence? What do you think? I kind of know Ece's
I'm very much for that. You know, this helps. Shall we speak in English or Turkish?
I don't know. English. Okay. In English.
It helps. I believe globalization helps to communicate more. Doesn't work.
Okay, will you speak? Yeah. Okay, no. Okay, let's go.
There is a huge, how do you say it, connection. So these people, like we were talking about Faik Ahmed, for instance, who would know him if there wasn't that? When I'm saying globalization is automatically when the communication and then this commerce that you don't like is on the scene. So it helps even the how do you say, very young or unknown artists to get known more, and
Yes,
then
without an
it gives the
agent or
ability and
even-
chance to communicate with people, with
Even thanks to-
museums,
even
and I
thanks
think
to
it's a good
Instagram,
thing.
you
Keep
can-
your identity.
Yeah, that's
Well,
Well,
another
this
thing.
is the
identity.
problem. I mean, the globalization will help, but it will be very hard to keep your identity. Being global, but keeping an identity, I think. And how about you? What do you think, Warıs?
I think there'll always be globalization, mass brands, mass movements, but what that creates is just an opportunity for anarchy and for revolution. There will always be a counter. There will always be a counter argument. There will always be a counter side.
clash,
There will
a
always be a
creative clash.
And so the bigger that side gets, the more opportunity it is for the voice of the youth and for the voice of, as long as that voice isn't subjugated by Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. That's so the ability to speak and to create something that's counterculture will always exist.
Okay, thank you. Başka sorumuz var mı acaba? Biri var gibi de yok gibi tam. Evet, buyurun.
Böyle duyabiliyor musun beni?
Pardon?
Duyuyoruz.
Duyabiliyor musun? I'm a young architect, and what I've seen in my 6 months experience of working is that clients want their houses quickly. Do you think that this kind of rush that people are in works against craftsmanship? Because I mean, it's generally known that when you want something custom made, it takes a lot longer. Do you think that kind of rush that the modern day is in?
Can you repeat your question, please, from the microphone, please?
Well, I'm a young architect. I recently graduated. I've been working for 6 months. And my general concern, and what I've seen from clients.
Yeah.
We hear you.
I'll start from the beginning.
Yes, please.
I'm a young architect, and what I've seen in my 6 months experience in the workplace is that clients want their products, want their houses really quickly. And do you think that time and this rush that people are in the modern day works against craftsmanship? Because when things are custom made, it takes longer for them to be produced. So what do you think about this, correlation or relationship between time and craftsmanship and what people want, ready on hand?
Well, I can
Yes,
start.
please.
Well, I think that, well, of course, the time limitation is not very good from my point of view for the artisanal because, well, it's sort of, I mean, of course, there are some types of artisanals which can be quickly made. Let's say if you make your homework, your mental homework behind. But still the artisanal is sort of something handmade. So when the clients of these kind of projects are pushing you to produce the end result very quickly, I believe it's not very good, and one has to explain and accept that, as they say. Usually traveling, hopefully, is better than arriving. So they have to enjoy the journey of creating that sometimes it's even more pleasant than the end product, I believe, to enjoy the journey and try to explain them and make them live that journey with you. If one can, of course. In some cases, it's not possible at all. So what do you think?
I think part of your job is not just to be the architect, but it's to be the educator, and to educate them in that process. They may not know. They think they want this, but then but your job is to educate them and to show them the light and show them the way. And if they want something quicker and they want something a different way, you have to let them go somewhere else.
Yes.
You just have to, and that might be sacrificial of earnings, but if you believe in what you do, then there will be someone that celebrates your work. And so you just have to be patient.
So after all these advices, I hope you'll have good clients.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's really enlightening.
I'm not very sure. And başka sorumuz var mı?
Thank you.
I think thank you. Thank you for coming to listen to us, and thank you for participating.